We usually treat aging like an old smartphone.
Oh, yeah.
Like the battery drains a little faster every year, the screen gets a crack in it, and you just sort of accept that your hardware is officially obsolete.
Right. You just expect the inevitable decline. I mean, society practically hands you a script for it.
Yeah, they really do.
We're told to slow down, take it easy, maybe trade the heavy weights for a gentle walk, and just accept that things don't work the way they used to.
But then you step into the world of elite midlife fitness, and that entire narrative gets completely flipped upside down.
It really does. It's a massive shift.
We are not looking at obsolete hardware at all.
Yes.
We're looking at a high-performance machine that is just, running on terrible software.
Exactly. It is a radical paradigm shift.
Yeah.
You move from this mindset of managing decline to one of tactical deployment.
Welcome to this deep dive. Today we are jumping into a massive, fascinating stack of manuals, social media intel, and tactical fitness guides created by Nudgy Cherry.
Yeah, the self-titled Fit Over 40, Fit Over 50 Fixer.
That's the one. And we know you are insanely curious, and you want the facts without drowning in information overload.
Right. Nobody wants a textbook.
So our mission today is to extract the ultimate science-backed playbook for getting in the best shape of your life after 40 or 50. We are going to decode how you can transition from feeling too old or, too damaged to training, fueling, and recovering exactly like an elite tactical agent. Okay, let's unpack this.
I love that. So the very first barrier we have to dismantle isn't even physical.
Right.
It is entirely psychological. Before anyone can transform their body, they absolutely have to rewrite the faulty programming in their mind.
The bad software.
Exactly. I'm talking about those deeply ingrained limiting beliefs we all carry about aging.
Oh, you hear them constantly, like it's too late for me to start, or my knees are too damaged, or my personal favorite weight gain is just unavoidable because my hormones are changing.
Yeah, people treat these myths like undeniable laws of physics.
They really do. But then you look at someone like Nora Langdon. Her story is prominently featured in these tactical guides, and it is just unbelievable.
It's incredible.
Right. At 63 years old, she couldn't climb a single flight of stairs without losing her breath. She was the textbook definition of someone who could have said, it's too late.
But she didn't. She walked into a gym and started powerlifting.
Yeah.
And by the time she was 81 years old, she held multiple world records, including squatting 413 pounds.
Which is just wild to think about.
If she had bought into that cultural script of frailty, she would have never even touched a barbell.
Dismantling those myths actually requires us to understand the biology of our own thoughts. This framework draws heavily on Dr. Wayne Dyer's concept of thoughts before feelings.
Right.
The idea is that you don't actually have to feel the way life wants you to feel.
What's fascinating here is a direct physical link between those thoughts and your body composition.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Well, we think of stress as an emotional problem. Right. But it is a highly volatile biological event. When you replay a frustrating argument in your head or, stress over some interpersonal drama, your brain actually can't tell the difference between that thought and a physical threat.
Wow.
So it triggers your adrenal glands to flood your system with cortisol.
And a chronic cortisol spike is an absolute disaster for fitness. When cortisol stays elevated, it fundamentally alters how your body processes energy. It actually blocks your insulin receptors.
Yeah, which is huge.
So now you have all this blood sugar floating around that can't get into your cells.
And then the pancreas panics.
Yeah.
It pumps out even more insulin to try and force the blood sugar into the cells.
Right.
When your insulin sensitivity drops like that, the body has a very specific emergency protocol. It converts that excess glucose into visceral fat and stores it directly in the belly.
Which is exactly what everyone complains about over 40.
Exactly. So managing your mental stress isn't just about achieving some Zen state of mind. It literally changes your physiological hormone profile, making fat loss chemically easier.
You're preventing the biological cascade that causes belly fat just by changing how you respond to drama.
Yeah.
That leads right into this concept of identity-based discipline. Motivation is a feeling. And, feelings are incredibly flaky.
Oh, the flakiest.
You cannot rely on motivation to get you out of bed for a workout on a cold, rainy Tuesday.
No, motivation initiates, but identity executes. The psychological shift here is moving away from saying, I am trying to get fit, and stepping into the identity of I am the type of person who shows up.
Right.
When you adopt the identity of an agent, the behavior becomes automatic. You don't debate whether you're going to train.
Yeah.
It's simply what you do.
To tackle that specific I'm too damaged belief, there is a brilliant analogy in this playbook. Think of your body like a classic car.
I love this one.
If a vintage Mustang has some creaky hinges or a temperamental engine, you don't declare it broken and haul it off to the scrapyard.
Right, you don't just throw it away.
No, it's just a little rusty. It has character. It simply needs a tune-up, some strategic maintenance, and it can run better than it did off the showroom floor.
And that mental shift clears the runway. Once that agent identity is locked in and the faulty software is uninstalled, you are cleared to begin the actual physical operations.
All right, so you've adopted the mindset. But how does a midlife operative actually train? I always assumed getting older meant, spending hours sweating on a treadmill or doing endless repetitions with tiny pink dumbbells.
Yeah, and that is the fastest route to burnout and muscle loss. The cornerstone of this specific tactical protocol is the big lifts first rule.
Okay.
We're talking about compound, heavy movements, squats, deadlifts, chest presses, and you have to do them at the very beginning of your session when your central nervous system is entirely fresh.
The science behind this is wild. Lifting heavy, specifically lifting at about 75% of your 1-rep max, which is a weight you can handle for roughly 10 reps with perfect form,
Right.
triggers a massive 130% increase in muscle protein synthesis after your workout.
But wait, let me stop you there.
Yeah.
Because I know what you listening at home might be thinking.
Uh-oh.
Wait, isn't lifting heavy at 50 dangerous? Like, lifting 75% of your maximum capacity when you're 55 years old sounds like a one-way ticket to a blown spinal disc. How is this actually safe?
That's a great point. It goes back to mechanics. The danger doesn't come from the heavy weight. The danger comes from a fragile structural foundation.
Right.
That's why the protocol insists on something called core bracing before you even unrack the bar.
Okay, walk us through the mechanics of that bracing.
So instead of taking a shallow breath into your chest, you pull a deep breath entirely into your belly.
Okay.
Then you forcefully bear down, bracing your abdominal wall exactly as if you're about to take a punch to the stomach. Oh, wow. So you're essentially turning your torso into a pressurized cylinder.
Exactly.
Suddenly your spine is wrapped in this incredibly rigid internal armor. You aren't lifting with a vulnerable lower back anymore.
Precisely. And the way you lift that weight matters just as much as the armor. Power and explosive speed naturally fade much faster than absolute strength as we age.
Right, people just feel slower.
But we can actively preserve our fast-twitch muscle fibers by leveraging the first 6 to 10 seconds of a heavy lift.
What happens in those first few seconds biologically?
Well, your body doesn't even use oxygen yet. It taps into your anaerobic energy pathways. First, the phosphagen, or ATP-PC system.
Okay.
Think of it like a biological battery that delivers maximum explosive energy, but it drains in under 10 seconds. After that, the glycolytic system kicks in. By intentionally triggering these systems with heavy weight, you improve your metabolic efficiency and maintain that crucial fast-twitch power.
Here's where it gets really interesting. It isn't just about hoisting the weight up and dropping it. The entire methodology revolves around TUT.
Time under tension.
Yes, time under tension. The absolute golden rule here is keeping your muscles under tension for 40 to 60 seconds per set. There is a saying in the guides, fast reps feed your ego, but slow reps feed your muscles.
Yeah, momentum is the enemy of muscle growth. If you heave a weight up and let it bounce at the bottom, your nervous system briefly shuts off. It thinks the work is done.
To prevent that, the tactical manuals prescribe a very specific 3-1-2 tempo.
Oh, that is brutal.
It really is. You take 3 full seconds to lower the weight, fighting gravity the whole way. You hold a strict 1-second pause at the bottom to kill all momentum. Then you take 2 seconds to drive it back up.
Wow.
That's 6 seconds per repetition. If you do 10 reps, that is 60 straight seconds of pure, agonizing, muscle-building tension.
And that constant tension forces the muscle fibers to stay engaged, sending an unavoidable signal to your body that it must rebuild stronger.
Yeah.
Now, to complement that heavy, slow lifting, the regimen layers and hybrid conditioning, we're talking about FAT, which is Sprint Interval Intelligence Training,
Right.
and EMOMS, which stands for Every Minute on the Minute.
My favorite is the cardio sandwich.
Oh, the sandwich.
You do a heavy strength set, immediately drop into a 30-second cardio burst like explosive toe taps or mountain climbers, and then go right back to the heavy strength movement.
It sounds exhausting but effective. These hybrid methods are designed to keep your cardiovascular and nervous systems sharp. They deliver the massive metabolic conditioning benefits of high-intensity interval training, or HIIT, but with a crucial modification.
What's the modification?
Because the cardio bursts are incredibly short and sandwiched between strength work, you avoid the prolonged cortisol spikes that traditional exhausting HIIT sessions often cause in midlife bodies.
Okay, so you're lifting heavy, doing EMOMs, and putting your muscles under immense tension, but all that work in the gym is just the catalyst.
Right, you're just breaking tissue down.
Exactly. If you don't supply the right raw materials immediately afterward, you've tortured yourself for nothing. Let's move from the gym to the kitchen, the actual headquarters of body composition.
Yes. Nutrition after 40 is where conventional wisdom fails people, mostly because it assumes we all have the exact same metabolism.
Which we definitely don't.
No, we don't. The manuals introduce this vital concept, the 5 engine types. Biologically, bodies over 40 operate on 5 distinct metabolic engines, and you have to know which one you're driving.
Let's break those down. First, there's the GH, or generally healthy engine. This one is pretty adaptable and can handle a balanced classic mix of carbs, fats, and proteins.
Right.
Then there's the IR, or insulin-resistant engine.
With the IR engine, your cells have essentially become deaf to insulin. When you eat carbohydrates, your body has to produce massive amounts of insulin just to process them, which promotes aggressive fat storage.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, this engine requires strict carbohydrate control. Next is the HYPO, or low-energy thyroid engine.
That's where your metabolism is just running incredibly slow, right?
Yes. The metabolic furnace is dimmed. The HYPO engine requires anti-inflammatory foods and a constant, steady supply of protein just to keep the metabolic fire burning.
Then we have the dual engine, which sounds like the toughest hand to be dealt.
It really is.
It's a combination of being insulin-resistant and hypothyroid. You have a slow furnace and cells that won't accept fuel. This requires incredibly specific, slow-digesting carbs.
Exactly. And finally, the HYPR engine, which runs too hot and too fast. If you have a HYPR engine, you actually risk burning through your own muscle tissue, so you need dense, calming calories to protect your mass.
Got it.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, nutrition after 40 is absolutely not about starvation. It is not about enduring those miserable 900-calorie diets of sadness.
Oh, nobody wants those.
No. It is about strategic timing and intelligent combining. And regardless of which engine you have, the universal golden rule is carb dressing.
Yes. Under no circumstances do you eat naked carbs.
Never. A naked carbohydrate is simply a carb eaten completely by itself.
Right.
Without fat or protein to slow it down, it digests rapidly in the stomach. It floods your bloodstream with glucose, aggressively spikes your insulin, and then inevitably drops you into a massive fatigue crash. That entire roller coaster signals your body to store belly fat.
Think about sitting by the pool on vacation. You get hungry, so you eat a big bowl of watermelon all by itself.
Delicious, but a bad idea.
Right, that is a naked carb. Your blood sugar rockets up, and 30 minutes later, you are practically comatose on your sun lounger, completely crashed out.
Yep.
But if you eat a handful of almonds or peanuts first, you change the chemistry of digestion. That healthy fat acts like the brakes on a car. It significantly slows down the digestion of the fruit you eat right afterward, giving you a slow, steady drip of energy instead of a massive spike.
You're manipulating the glycemic response. And for starchy carbs, things like white rice or potatoes, there is a brilliant stealth tactic called starch retrogradation.
This mechanism is incredible. It basically turns comfort food into a health food just by changing its temperature.
Exactly. When you cook a starchy food, let it cool completely in the fridge, and then reheat it later, you physically alter the molecular bonds of the food.
Wait, really? Just by cooling it?
Yeah. The starch undergoes recrystallization. It forms a structure that your human digestive enzymes literally cannot break apart in the small intestine.
So, because you can't digest it normally, you actually absorb fewer calories from the exact same portion of rice.
Furthermore, because it passes through the small intestine largely untouched, it arrives in the large intestine where it acts as a powerful prebiotic.
Oh, that's amazing.
It feeds your beneficial gut bacteria and keeps your blood sugar incredibly stable. It's a mandatory tactical upgrade for anyone doing meal prep.
But let's be real, you're going to eat a big meal eventually. You're going to want dessert. When you do, you deploy the treat and justify protocol.
Yes.
You want the cake? Fine, eat the cake. But you have to dress it with protein first, and immediately afterward, you justify the sugar by moving.
Yeah, doing 20 push-ups, a set of air squats, or taking a brisk 10-minute walk right after a heavy meal changes how your body partitions those nutrients.
You're forcing your muscles to act like sponges.
Hmm.
When you contract those muscles, they pull the glucose directly out of your bloodstream to use for immediate energy, completely flattening the insulin response before it can signal fat storage.
It gives you incredible dietary freedom. You aren't restricted from enjoying life. You just have to operate with physiological intelligence.
Absolutely.
Now that brings us to the final and undoubtedly the most critical phase of the mission, which is recovery.
Right.
Training damages the body. Fuel gives it energy. But the actual physical upgrades, the new muscle tissue, the fat oxidation, the connective tissue repair, they only happen when you recover.
And tactical recovery is not just melting into the couch and watching television. We are talking about active cellular upgrades. Let's start with the nervous system. We talked about how damaging cortisol is. To actively force those stress levels down, the playbook uses 4-7-8 breathing. You inhale through your nose for 4 seconds, hold the breath for 7 seconds, and exhale slowly through your mouth for 8 seconds.
That specific ratio of breathing isn't just relaxing. It is a mechanical lever for your nervous system.
Oh, so?
By making the exhale twice as long as the inhale, you physically stimulate the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve acts like a brake pedal. It forces your body out of the sympathetic, high-alert fight-or-flight state and physically locks it into the parasympathetic rest and digest mode.
That makes so much sense.
Doing this right before bed dramatically changes the quality of your cellular repair.
Speaking of cellular repair, I have to play devil's advocate for you listening.
Okay.
Whenever we start talking about biohacking and supplement stacks, it's easy to wonder, is this just popping a bunch of expensive magic pills and hoping for a miracle?
This raises an important question because the health industry is flooded with useless noise. But the 40-plus cellular upgrade stack detailed in these guides is entirely about providing literal biological building blocks. Once you cross 40, your body's natural production of structural proteins like collagen and a vital energy molecule called NAD+, drops off a cliff.
This plummets.
Yeah. Your body physically lacks the materials to rebuild itself.
So I have to import the raw materials directly.
Precisely. The stack starts with high-quality collagen paired with specific amino acids, L-lysine, proline, and glycine.
Okay.
These are the literal bricks and mortar your body uses to rebuild degraded joints, tendons, and skin. Then you introduce NMN.
And what does NMN do?
NMN is a direct precursor to NAD+, which is essentially the energy currency of your mitochondria. As NAD+ levels fall with age, your cells literally lose the power to function. NMN restores that cellular battery.
Next in the stack is glutathione. This is your body's master antioxidant. When you finish a heavy lifting session, your muscles are full of inflammatory debris. Glutathione acts like a cleanup crew, sweeping out that inflammation and protecting the muscle cells. And finally, TMG, or trimethylglycine, which facilitates cellular detoxification and physically supports DNA repair while you sleep.
It is a comprehensive hardware upgrade from the inside out. They also layer in physical recovery strategies, like lymphatic facial massage.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, this reduces retained fluid and clears out localized tension. And critically, they mandate scheduled deload ops.
Right. Around day 50 of the training cycle, you intentionally drop the weight you're lifting by 20 to 30% for an entire week. You don't stop moving, but you drastically reduce the mechanical pressure.
The deload week is when the magic actually happens. If you push the central nervous system relentlessly, you will eventually snap.
Yeah, something's got to give.
Exactly. Backing off the intensity allows the body to fully repair the microtears in the muscle and overcompensate, making you significantly stronger for the next cycle.
So what does this all mean? Let's bring this mission home for you. Fitness after 40 or 50 is not a desperate attempt to cling to your youth. It is absolutely not a midlife crisis. It is midlife power.
Achieving it requires adopting the identity of an agent,
Right.
someone who executes the plan regardless of how motivated they feel.
Right.
It means embracing the discomfort of time, under tension in the gym, strategically dressing your carbohydrates in the kitchen, and providing your body with the exact cellular materials it needs to repair itself.
Because at the end of the day, showing up consistently always beats sporadic intensity. Executing these fundamentals day in and day out is what builds an unbreakable machine.
It's all about cultivating intentional resilience.
Which brings us to a final thought for you to mull over. We've talked extensively today about physical progressive overload and intentional time under tension.
Yeah.
We know those are the exact biological mechanisms that build unbreakable resilience in our muscles as we age. But how could we intentionally apply that same time under tension to our intellectual or emotional challenges? If leaning into the physical burn makes our bodies biologically younger and stronger, How might leaning into emotional friction or complex, frustrating learning fundamentally change how our minds age?
That is a profound way to look at the holistic aging process. Growth requires resistance, whether it's physical or mental.
Think about that next time you feel the urge to rush through a tough moment. Thank you for joining us on this mission. Keep your tension intentional, remember to dress your carbs, and we will see you on the next deep dive.